Following Jesus, it's an invitation. Today, we're going to talk about that, about freedom and liberty, and about the difference between something that a lot of us understand, but maybe we've never thought about the cross and thought about Jesus in these ways. So to start with, I was joking about leaving town because I heard that you were having a flood. Actually, when I was in contact with my wife and with my daughter, with Alana, with my wife Alana, let me get this straight. Wife Alana, daughter Emily. Okay, got it. I was actually out in Newburgh, New York that night, and I was at, some of you maybe have watched through the years the TV show, The American Chopper, you know, Orange County Choppers and those guys. I was there. I was on Highway 6 for this whole big journey across about a fourth or a third of the United States. And so I had an opportunity to go and to do and to be by myself and to go where I wanted to go and do what I wanted to do. And you know what that is? That's freedom. Right? You get that? I had the freedom, not just because I was on my motorcycle on Highway 6, the Grand Army Highway, Grand Army of the Republic Highway. I had the freedom to stop when I wanted to stop, to go when I wanted to go. And if I wanted to get up in the morning and have Red Bull and Twinkies, I didn't have anybody to say no. I could do whatever I wanted, yeah? And actually, I didn't have Twinkies for breakfast, but when I was in Pennsylvania, I did have blueberry pie because they had blueberries in Pennsylvania. I was loving that. So it was about freedom. And all joking aside, I look at that and say, yeah, that was part of the appeal of leaving Dubuque, Iowa on a Sunday afternoon after worship and heading out and taking 5 days. 5 days to get to New York City, where my in-laws live, and then Alana and Emily flew out there and met us. And I took 5 days to get to my in-laws, not because I was dreading seeing the in-laws. Are you with me? It only took me 2 to get back, but anyway, it was 5. That's true, but it was because I had the liberty and the freedom to go and do what I wanted to do. And so freedom and liberty were on my mind. And so it was personally significant to me on Saturday, on the Saturday before I came home, to be on Ellis Island. And I asked you, some of you have been to Ellis Island. It's in the harbor in New York City. And so it was personally significant to me to Saturday afternoon to get on the boat, Miss Liberty, and there's a photo up there at the top of a boat pulling out of Ellis Island, to get on the boat with my family and ride to Manhattan. And then to get on a train. We got on the subway first, and then we went up on the commuter train, the Metro line. We went to Hastings-on-Hudson. My father-in-law came in a car, picked us up in a car, took me to their house. And Sunday morning at 5:30, I got on my motorcycle and started home. The only means of transportation I missed in that whole thing was a plane and a skateboard, yeah? It was meaningful to me, though, to leave Ellis Island on Saturday afternoon on a boat. And to make it to Dubuque, Iowa. I got home at 5 o'clock on Monday. It was significant to me. It was significant to me because of, like many of you, when I saw my family's name, Shinkle, and when I also saw my family name, Cameron, in the books of Ellis Island, it meant something to me, yeah? And so that journey got me to thinking, and I had 2 days to think about it. It was meaningful about, you know, Ellis Island between 1892 and 1924. There were over 12 million people that came through Ellis Island, and they came from all over the world. They came from Poland, they came from Germany and Ireland and England, all over the world. Immigrants. I'll just say that not as an insult, but to say these folks, many of them, over 12 million, came through Ellis Island. And some of them were like this. There's a couple of immigrants that I ran into. They're standing in the big registry hall there at Ellis Island. And this is a better picture of back then when the immigrants, the folks would come and they'd stand in lines and there'd be hope and trepidation. They didn't know whether they'd be allowed to stay or sent back home. And they would come. And they would come, and there's some even better pictures, some close-ups of some of the folks, some of the real people that came to America. Why? Well, there were some that came to get rich. But don't miss the fact that the great majority of folks came through Ellis Island, and I know some came through Philadelphia and other ports, but I was in Ellis Island. Many came for one thing, and that thing they came for was freedom and for liberty. And that's significant to me, and I share that with you. I bring that back to say they came to escape poverty. They came to escape disease. They came to escape oppression. They came to escape hunger. And for some, like the Jews in Russia, they came to escape being killed. Okay? So you look at the folks who came to America, like the Israelites in the Bible, who were led to go to the Promised Land. They were slaves, and then they were God's people. They were slaves. God set them free. They went to the Promised Land. That's what was going on there. And I think that's powerful. They came to the Promised Land. These folks, some of your forefathers and foremothers, came to the Promised Land, came to America for the same things. To escape hunger, to escape oppression, to escape being killed, for a better way of life. And maybe that's the thing that's most exciting. As you hear some of those stories, so many people came for the opportunity to start over, for the opportunity for a new life, for an opportunity to start again. They came from all over. You know, you think about that. Think about how compelling that is. To leave familiar people, familiar surroundings, familiar habits, things you've always done a certain way, even if the familiar was killing you. These folks still were compelled to come to the Promised Land, to America, for liberty. Liberty, for freedom. And that's big. And so I thought about that a lot as I went from Ellis Island to Manhattan, and then up to Hastings-on-Hudson, and all the way across New Jersey, and Pennsylvania, and Ohio, and Indiana, and Illinois. I did make a little jog up to Michigan to get a t-shirt for Aaron from Sturgis, Michigan, but that's another story. Anyway, that straight line across. You know, coming over there, liberty and freedom. Liberty and freedom. Now that's something that many of us may not think much about because we take it for granted. But this other symbol, it's why it's so powerful. And that's this symbol. This is a photo we took on as we were going out. There's thousands of photos of this, but you all know what this is, right? Statue of Liberty, a gift from France to the United States. Because these folks came seeking freedom, freedom from oppression and hunger and desperation, because people came, millions of them came looking for liberty and a chance to start over, new possibilities, this statue became incredibly powerful for those folks. For the immigrants, for those coming to America. This statue out in the harbor of New York, it's on the way to Ellis Island. This statue stands with the torch and with the tablet with the date of America's founding in there, and it says welcome. Welcome to the land of opportunity. That's what this statue stands for. You all agree with that? With me on that? That's what this stands for. It's a powerful symbol. Welcome to the land of possibilities. Welcome to a place where you can begin again, start over. Welcome to a land where you can have as much freedom as you want. Welcome to a land where you can have as much prosperity as you want, where you can be as prosperous or as poor, as ambitious or as lazy as you want. Welcome. That's what the statue is saying. Now, I saw an interview with some immigrants that came over. That's just another picture of the statue on your way out there. And some immigrants are the ones that said, you know, for most Americans, the Statue of Liberty is not as powerful of a symbol as to those of us who immigrated here, because most Americans who were born in America have never known the absence of possibilities, have never known the absence of hope, the absence of freedom. And so I found that intriguing. That this immigrant said, this is a symbol, yes, of America, but it lacks power for most Americans. It's just an historical thing, it's a nice piece of art, or whatever. Now that was intriguing to me, because it made me think of another symbol that's more powerful than this. Another symbol that maybe many people take for granted. Maybe many people take for granted because they've never thought about the freedom that this other symbol points to. And that's this symbol right here, the cross. Now for many folks, you know, there's an old song that's called The Rugged Cross, right? You've heard that song? And in that song, I kind of disagree with it, or at least I'm going to refute it. In that song, at the beginning of it, it says, the old rugged cross, it's an emblem of what? Suffering and shame. Okay, fine. I want to substitute that. I want new thoughts about that. Because just as the Statue of Liberty is a big, huge, powerful symbol for people that came seeking freedom, I say that this is our symbol. And our symbol is about freedom. Our symbol is about liberty. Our symbol, the cross, is about starting over, and it's about possibilities. And that's the simple, very simple lesson that I wanted to share with you this morning, and I wanted to impress upon you. Just as many people see the Statue of Liberty out in New York Harbor, they may see Lady Liberty as a nice piece of art, as I said, or a wonderful historical landmark. Some people see the cross as either something to be ashamed of, or something that only points to suffering and shame, something that we should be embarrassed of. Some people see the cross only as a shorthand, simple way to say Christian. You know, Star of David means Jewish. A crescent with a crescent moon with a star is Islam, right? Cross, Christ. But I say to us this morning that we need to reclaim, we need to remember, we need to put back into perspective that the cross is our symbol. And it stands for possibilities. It stands for hope in the same way, if not more powerfully, than the Statue of Liberty stands for hope and possibilities and liberty and a new life for immigrants. Yes? That's what I'm saying. Simply that. And you see, some people get this. I realize that for some people, for anyone who've ever lost their freedom because of sin. You know, I mean, pick a commandment. You wonder what sin is? Pick a commandment. You know, adultery, or coveting, or, you know, being greedy, lying, whatever. For anybody that's ever lost their freedom because of sin, the cross means something. It has power. For anybody who's ever lost their freedom to go and come and do, and anybody who's ever lost their hope because they've been enslaved by anger or hatred or pettiness, they get this. Anybody who's ever been enslaved, chained up by addiction, and fill in the blank, whatever it's drugs or alcohol or shopping or sex, pornography, okay? Anybody who's ever been addicted and held in bondage. The message of the cross is freedom. The message of the cross is not suffering and shame. The message of the cross is hope and new possibilities, yes? Yes. But see, if you've never been in that dark hellhole, you don't get it. You know? And I'm not advocating that you go into a dark hellhole, but I am saying that I want you to hear and think and appreciate the fact that this is our symbol, and it's a symbol of hope. It's not a symbol of hate. It's not a symbol of division. It's not a symbol of suffering and shame for anyone who's ever been held.